Okay, let's start. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to this exciting session of SUG Nagpur, hosted by Neha Pasi, Vikrant Punwatkar, Sumit Salpikar, and myself, and is supported by Proficient. Today's session is centered around XM Cloud overview and its component creations. We have a power-packed agenda and some incredibly talented speakers who will guide us through ins and outs of Sitecore XM Cloud and its key features. Let's make this session as interactive and as engaging as possible. So do not hesitate to drop any question you have in the chat box that we'll take up in a Q&A segment at the end of this session. Now it's time to introduce our esteemed speaker who bring a wealth of expertise and experience to the table. First, we have Nikita Vashisht, a technical lead in Extensia Information Technology. Nikita is a certified expert in Sitecore XM Cloud, Sitecore CDP, and Sitecore XP 9 and 10. Her contribution to Sitecore community are truly remarkable, from writing insightful blogs to actively engaging on platforms like Stack Exchange and LinkedIn. Joining her is Shreyansh Nahata, also a technical lead at Extensia. With over 7 years of IT experience, Shreyansh has built cutting-edge digital solution for one of the largest two-wheeler automotive company of the world. He is also a certified Sitecore 10 developer and XM Cloud professional, bringing deep insights into practical implementation. We are truly fortunate to have them with us today. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Nikita and Shreyansh to kick things off.
So hi, good afternoon everyone. Our topic of presentation is XM Cloud Overview and Component Creation. So before we begin, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Nikita. I'm working as a technical lead. I'm certified in XP version 910, XM Cloud, Odor Cloud, and Sitecore CDP. Apart from that, I keep on contributing to the community through my blog posts and presentation. Shransh, can you introduce yourself?
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for joining the session. I am currently working as a technical lead at Extensia. I'm Sitecore 10 and XM Cloud certified. Yeah, that's about me. Nikita,
So
you
the
can take
agenda
over.
of today's presentation is firstly, we'll start with the introduction to XM Cloud. Then we'll see the key features and terminologies related to XM Cloud. Then we'll briefly describe how the architecture works in XM Cloud. Then we'll see how we can set up the project and sites. Then we'll have a demo, how we can create a custom component. Then we'll open the forum for the question answers round. So let's understand what is XM Cloud. So XM Cloud is a fully managed cloud native SaaS-based solution, and it is built on a composable architecture. So to understand what is composable architecture, as you can see on our presentation, there is a diagram where we have all the offerings that Sitecore offers related to a composable product. So we have three categories. First, we have engagement cloud. Second, we have content cloud. And the third one we have as a cloud, commerce cloud. So supposedly, if we have to build a project that is heavily dependent on saving or using customer data, then we can easily plug in our CDP with our XM cloud. So what flexibility composable architecture gives us is we can plug in and mix our solution, and we can build our solution rather than depending on our traditional CMS where everything was combined in one licensing. And since it's a subscription based modeling, so we only pay for what we are using. So we can easily add on whatever we want, and we can customize a solution as per the requirement of our clients. Then it also comes with advanced tools like Sitecore Experience Accelerator, Next.js SDK, and Experience Edge. It will also provide us a lot of component building options, like we have component builders, page editor, XM Cloud Forms. These are all Canva based modules where we can easily drag and drop our component and create our pages and websites. Then let's understand what are the key features of XM Cloud. First being headless. Since it's based out of headless, so we separate our backend with our front end interfaces, so we can independently create our website and APIs in our backend, and our user interface will be completely independent. So development can happen independently without any restrictions. Then we have Experience Edge. So Experience Edge works as a publishing target for XM Cloud. It is like a global CDN API where all the content that we are creating in our XM Cloud, it gets published in our Experience Edge. Then we have Component Builder. So it works as what you see is what you get editor. Here you can easily drag and drop all the components that are available out of the box. Then there are fields that are also available. So you can create your component, you can align that, all the CSS stylings can be done inline. So you don't need to write custom code. So it works as a low code, no code integration environment. Then it's personalization ready. So all the components that we have added on our website, we can add personalization. There are custom rules that we can create. There are a lot of out of the box rules that we have. So to give a intuitive view for the users, we can have personalization plugged in. So supposedly if I'm making a website and I don't want a specific component to be enable for the Indian users, I can add that rule and I can personalize that specific component. And then there are toggle buttons where you can easily hide and show the components. And then we have page and sites insights. So it allows us to preview the metrics like the bounce rate, the number of visitors, average time spent on our sites. So all of these metrics can be easily measured real time using sites and page insights. We can also compare all of these metrics. Then it's service based. So since it's based out of subscription, so we can only pay for what we are using. Then it has the capability of built-in demo. So now all the deployments, monitoring, package installation, upgrades, all are being taken care of by Sitecore itself. So it comes with the integration and capabilities of DevOps also. So yeah, so let's understand XM Cloud and the overview, what all interfaces we have, what all composable add-ons that we can plug in, all the developer tools. So the first we'll talk about the access management. So all the accesses, user roles, your sites, projects, everything is being managed inside your cloud portal. Then delivery is being taken care by Experience Edge. All our data, all our components, all our website pages that we are creating, all of them gets published in Experience Edge. Since we do not have CD environment, so it works as our publishing target. And using GraphQL, we can fetch all the data that is available in our Experience Edge. Then we have composable add-ons. So now, as I've mentioned earlier also, there are a lot of composable products that Sitecore offers that can be easily plugged in with our XM Cloud system. So be it Sitecore Search, Content Hub, Connect, Personalized CDP, all of them can be plugged in with your XM Cloud solution. Then we have multiple interfaces. So we have newly introduced page editor, component builder, and explorer. So it just gives a very user-friendly view of building a component where you can easily uh, create your component without needing to code. So component builder, for instance, is based out of a grid-based system where you can select a grid and create your component. All of the slice stylings, alignment, global styling, all of these options are being available already added in the portal. You don't need to plug in or add anything out of the box. Then we have developers tool. So for development, there are multiple tools that helps us creating the code or the backend APIs. So we have deploy app that takes care of all the deployments. Then we have Sitecore CLI. We have GraphQL that helps us in querying the data that is available in our edge. Then we have REST APIs. Webhooks again helps us in transmitting the data to the third party system. Then we have JSS and Next.js SDKs. Then we can connect our website to a front end hosting provider. So we have Versals and Netlify that are compatible with XM Cloud. So we can host our website on either one of them. So there are few terminologies related to XM Cloud. So how the structure of XM Cloud works, how the project, website, environment, repositories, how they are linked. So let's talk about them one by one. So first is the organization. Organization again works on a top top level where it works on the basis of the business unit. So it includes all the teams and the Sitecore products that we have subscribed for. Then inside our project, it groups all the different environments. If I'm creating a project, I will have different environments. So let's say we have a dev environment, QA environment, production environment. So it groups all our environment, and all of them can be created using deploy app and our CLIs. Then in our environment, it holds all the configuration, implementation, and all our code part that is being deployed via our repository. Then our site is a collection of our headless pages and all our components that we have added using our page editor, component builder, content editor, experience editor, all the pages that we create, they come under site. Then site collection is it basically groups the related site together on the basis of the business unit.
So
So
I'll
from
take it
here,
up from here.
Shansh will explain the architecture.
Yeah. Thank you, Nikita. So on the architecture diagram that you see, right? This is actually how your CM instance in XM Cloud would look like. On the left hand side, you see, right, there's a developer, he checks in his code into his source control. So Sitecore provides us the build and deploy services. So whenever we check in our code, there might be auto deployment that can be triggered into your XM Cloud instance, or you can manually deploy the code. So you can have all your repositories and all your environments set up, wherein your particular branch code will be deployed in the CM instance. Let's say you have a QA environment, the branch selected for QA, the branch selected for QA will be deployed in your instance, and all this will be an automated process. The deployment services tools are provided in the XM Cloud instance. Once your code is deployed in your CM instance, you can modify those components. You can drag those components. You can use the out of the box features that are available, like Explorer, Component Builder, Pages, and all these tools that are newly introduced in XM Cloud. Once your page is ready, once your components are ready, and let's say all your content is uploaded. So here, since we do not have any CD servers, you need to publish your code into Experience Edge. So once you publish your content into the Experience Edge, your front-end application, let's say which might be hosted on Vercel or Netlify, can pull all the content from your Edge server via the GraphQL. So all of this, the build and deploy services, the publishing, the experience edge, all of it is a part of the XM Cloud license that is provided to us. And since your front end application, let's say the initial request that comes in, that will hit your static site hosting services like the Vercel or Netlify. The request will not directly go to your Sitecore instance, and your front-end application in turn will use the GraphQL to fetch the data from the Experience Edge endpoints. So earlier in our traditional XPXM, the request would ideally go to your CD servers. So that's not the case here. I'll brief you about a few of the steps that are required to create the project in XM Cloud. Once you log into the portal, you will head over to the project section. There you will have an option to create a project. And once you create a project, a screen, something like this would appear on your portal, wherein the first step you need to give your project name. So once you give your project name, you'll have your options to choose your source control. You can either choose GitHub or Azure DevOps. Earlier, there was only support for GitHub, but recently they have provided extended the support to both GitHub and Azure DevOps. So once you're done with your project name, once you select your source control, uh, you can, I mean, you need to give in your you need to fill up your GitHub credentials, and you need to give the name of the repository where you want your code to be I mean, the where you want your initial commit of the code. Sitecore provides a starter template kit, which I'll show you in the uh, demo section, wherein they'll give a starter template kit, a code project in the initial commit, which you can use to subsequently build your components or to do your development in your local machine. And in case you want to use your own code base, I mean, if you have your own code setup ready, you can also you also have the flexibility to use that. You can select the other option, use your own code that is available. Next step would be to set up the environment. So you can create your environment based on the requirement. Let's say you want to create an environment uh, for your production site. You can create an environment for your production. You want to create your environment for development, you can create a dev environment. For QA, you can create a QA environment. So you can create the environments that you want. There are two, three options that would you will be asked to select while you are creating the environment. One of them would be to select if it's a production environment. In case it's a production environment, the deployed build would be an optimized build. And the second option, like the auto deploy on push to repository, let's say have a dev environment, and the subsequent branch for it is release dev branch. So whenever you commit your code to release dev, there will be a deployment that would be automatically triggered. So it's not compulsory to select this option. You can also manually deploy your code. Then you can review all the steps that you have selected. And once everything is reviewed, you will have an option to confirm the deployment. Once you deploy, your Sitecore build and deploy services will create the environment, will create the project, and it will also create the repository in your GitHub account with the initial commit. So for your local development, there are two ways to go about it. One would be the Docker approach, where you set up your Docker and you can do your local development in your system. The second, where you can directly fetch the endpoint of the experience edge and provide your site name and site context ID, and you can start developing your components into your starter headless project. So there are three options that you need to update in your environment file. One would be the context ID, second would be the site name, and third would be the editing secret. You need to update your env file. So in your starter project, you will have an environment file where you would need to update all of this variables in the environment files. So let me head over to the portal where I'll show you all the. So this is the XM Cloud portal. So here you have your XM Cloud Deploy app. Here you have an option to create a project. So in our particular subscription, we cannot create more than two projects. So we've already created two projects, a demo project and an XM Cloud demo project. So we will not be able to create a project at the moment. Once you click on the create a project, you will be able to, I mean, the screenshots that I had shown in the PPT that would be available, and you can create your projects and create your environment. Let me open one of the projects demo. So you can see there are two environments that are already created. Really, I'm in the dev environment and the UAT environment. And in case you want to create any new environment here, you can give an environment name and you can select if it's a production environment, and you can select the branch that you want to select for your environment and auto deploy on push to repository, yes or no. So based on the options that you select, it will create an environment for you. And you'll also have the options to delete your environments or in case you want to manage your environment variables. Then let me open a dev environment. So here in the deployments, you can see all the deployments that has happened in this particular environment. It gives us the logs as well. You can check the logs in case of any build failures. You will be able to see the logs of the deployment. The forced, I mean, all the steps are available. Then the environment details, you will have the context ID, environment IDs, and the branch that is linked to. So the region in which your XM Cloud is deployed and the URLs for your, I mean, the content editor portal. It will open up the portal for your content editor where you can see all the sites and you can navigate to your content editor from here. You can go to your content editor from this portal. So it would be something like the Sitecore screens that we normally see. These are the tenants that we have. You can have multiple sites on your tenants. Then let's say I have sites in my particular dev environment. Here I can see two sites that are already created. If you look at it, these two sites should also be available in your content tree. So these XM Next JSS app that is available in your content tree, the site name SS that should also be there. So that is also there. So that would also be there in the deployments. You can also manually create deployments in the create deployment option that you have. You can select for which project do you want to create a deployment, and then you can select the environment for which you want to deploy anything. So you can manually create your deployments. On the system status, you can check the health of all the applications that are running. Then connections, you can see all the GitHub connections that are already made for your particular projects. You will be able to remove all your GitHub connections that are not required. Then let me head over to the demo project. Here in the site section, you can create a new site. We'll be having an option to create a new site. Create site. So I am creating a basic site that's provided by Sitecore. So here they will have two pages, the components and all the basic integrations that are there. So once I click on next step, it will help. I need to give my site name. Let me give demo. I can create it under any tenant that I want. And once I deploy, click on create site, it will help me create a site. So it might take up to 2 minutes and that might be visible in your content tree as well. Once your site is created, here the sites are available and you will have your home page and you can add your presentation details less like we do in our normal site core. You can add your components. So I think this is an overview of the Sitecore portal that we have. So in case you want to create any support ticket, you can create it from the portal itself. Here you can raise any support request and they'll get back to you. And one thing which I also wanted to tell is your Sitecore, you can create Sitecore projects. An organization can have multiple Sitecore projects, and under those projects, you can have your dev QA environments. And under the dev QA environments, you can have multiple websites that you want. So that is one thing that is introduced in XM Cloud. So let's say if I have another Sitecore instance running. So this is another project that I have. S- So it will not consist the sites that I have in another project. So that is what I want. I think that's it about the portal overview. Nikita, would you like to give the component creation demo from now?
Yes, I'm sharing my screen. Um, so I hope everyone is able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so there are two ways how we can go about in creating a custom component in XM Cloud. So the first way is to create a JSON rendering, as we know that it works out of headless SXA. So we'll be needing to create JSON renderings. So the first option is to go to your project folder. Over here, you can select whichever folder you want the rendering to be added. You can right click and simply insert your JSON rendering over here. And the other way around is to use the out of the box rendering, and you can clone the rendering. So supposedly if the requirement for your component is very similar to the out of the box renderings that are already been offered by Sitecore, so rather than creating everything from scratch, we can extend the functionality. So how you can clone a rendering is you go to your features option inside the rendering folder. Here you can see there is a folder with the name of Headless Experience Accelerator. We have all the out of the box renderings that are available to us. So supposedly if I want to clone a promo rendering, I'll click on this. I'll right click and we have a scripts option. Over here, I can see the option for cloning a rendering. It will give me a dialog box that will require a name for my rendering. So if I'll give a product feature demo, I can select the module folder where I want to add this rendering. So supposedly if I want it to be added inside my product feature folder, I'll select that. I can give the rendering CSS class name if I want. Then inside my parameters, I will select whether I want to inherit the existing rendering or I want to make a copy of the original rendering parameter. So I'll make a copy. Similarly, for the data source also, I'll make a copy for the original data source and I'll proceed. So once it's done, you will be able to see your product feature demo added in your product feature folder. Now, since you have cloned the rendering, so you don't need to create your templates, branches of all of those folders from scratch. It will inherit from your promo out of the box rendering only. So if I'll go to my template section and I'll open the project and I'll select the folder where I've added this rendering. So if I'll go to my product feature, I can see product feature demo template that is already been added. And now all the fields that we have in our out of the box promo rendering, it is available to us. So now whichever field we want, we can add that or we can extend the same template with the similar field. So if we want another link field, so we can have promo link to, or we can, if you want to rename, you can definitely do that. So for the demo purpose, I have cloned the product feature only. Over here, I have renamed few fields. So I have added heading, subheading, link, and image field. So once you have added the fields, whatever fields you want in your template or your component to have, you will add a data source for that. So you'll go to your website. Over there in your data folder, I have this product feature node that is already created. So here I've plugged in all the data for my heading, subheading, and links I've already added. So once you have created all your data and your all your data sources are added, then another thing that you need to make sure is inside your presentation, there's an option of available renderings. So your rendering should be available in one of the modules for it to be able to plug in onto our page editor or our component builders. So if it is not available in our available renderings, then you will not be able to drag and drop it. So when I go to my page editor, so this is a page editor in XM Cloud. Here you can easily add your components. So if I'll click on this plus icon, it will open my component builder, or I can have the option of navigating to component builder from this icon also. So here you can see all the available renderings. So these are the out of the box renderings that are available for us to drag and drop and create a component, or we can select from a module folders also. So now I can see my product feature available. So once I'll drag and drop, it will ask me to assign a content item. So I will select my product feature one and I'll assign it. So over here, my content that I have saved in my data source, that will be published. So now we have to see how it is fetching the data. Since it's a custom component, so obviously we have cloned it. So there will be a code behind it. So let's see the code part of it. So this is a Next.js starter kit that is available for us. So inside a component folder, we have multiple TSX files. We have different TypeScript files that are available. So how you can create your file, the first option is to either duplicate any one of them and give the exact same name that you have given for your component, or else there is a command that is JSS scaffold. So when you run JSS scaffold and the name of the feature, it will create a structure, or it will create the TSX file for you with the same name. So you do not need to specifically duplicate. So that is the one way that you can do. You can run this JSS scaffold command and you can create your file. So this product feature has been created. So now over here, what this exactly does is, firstly, it imports all the field types that we have created in our template from our Sitecore JSS. So we have used our single line. So that is for text, we have used single line. Then we have link and image field. Then in our interfaces, we map our field types with the fields that we have created in our template. And then in our return structure, we return a DOM structure mapping all our fields. So as you can see, the same name we have mapped as we have given it in our template. So we have headings, subheadings, links, and images. So this can be done. And once all your code is ready, you can check by running npm run build command. You can check whether all your code is getting built properly. And then if everything works fine, you can push it to your local environment. Then when I go back to my page editor, there is an option that you can either select the component, or there is an option to create the components also. So when I'll go to my sites, I will click on this. So as I talked about the personalize option also. So right now, once my page is ready and I want to personalize the component that I have created. So what I'll do is I'll create a variant. So I will give the variant name. So supposedly I want it for the India. So I'll click on next. So over here, we can build our audiences. So there are multiple, as I've mentioned, there are multiple set rules that we have. So we can click on creating a rule. So these are all the out of the box rules that we have. So supposedly, if I want to select the country rule, I'll click on the plus icon. I can select India. So if the visitor is from India, I'll save this rule. So once it's successfully saved, so it will ask me which component you want to personalize. So if I want to personalize my existing component, I'll click on this icon and there is an option here ki what all actions that I need to perform on. So if I want to hide this, I'll enable this toggle button. So if I want this component to not be visible for the Indian users, I'll click on the toggle button and it will hide that component. So similarly, you can add different sort of personalization options also. Then we have the analyze option. Over here, as I've mentioned, there is a site and the page insights. So we have different metrics on the basis of which we can compare our sites. So we have visitors, average site, average time on our site. So all of these things can be managed, and there are different graphs that are available for us to compare the metrics. Then we have the page insights also. So if you want to particularly check how our one specific page is performing. So that can also be done. And then we can compare the variants also. So how it works is, so now since I've added a personalization, I've added a variant in it. So I've personalized one of the components. I can compare like how my page is behaving with that specific component and how it is behaving with my personalized experience. So all of those metrics can also be compared. If I'll go back to my editor, other things we have is the template. So over here, we will have the option or the flexibility to create a page and partial designs. So in our partial designs, we have, since it's a basic site setup, so we already have out of the box footer and header created. But if you want to create a new partial design, you'll simply click on this create option. There's an option for us to add a partial design. You will give the name of your partial design. Supposedly, it will be a news listing component. So I'll create that. So if you want, you can drag and drop a lot of components that are there. So if I want a promo card to be there, I'll add this. I can assign any data source. So I have to create it in my content editor and I can plug in that. So that can easily be done. The other feature that we have, so supposedly we have a rich text. So we can also add that. Over here, you can specify your DOM structure. Component. And once you have done with your changes, you can save and publish it. So how you publish it is basically we have three options. We have either we can publish the page, sub pages, or we can select in all the language. So I want to specifically publish this page. So I'll click on start publishing and it will publish my page. Another thing we have is the component builder. So over here, this is the component builder. So the earlier screen that we have seen, it's a page builder, but now if we have to design components, there is a specific tool or place where we can structure all our components. So right now, there is a concept of collections and components. So you can create your collection, and inside that collection, you can keep on adding your components. So supposedly, if I want to add a new collection, I'll click on this. I'll give it as a product feature collection. I'll save this. So now my product feature collection will be added. Now I'll again add a component. I'll simply click on adding a component. I'll create a new component. I'll give it a name as text card and I'll save this. So I'll click to start editing. So now once you'll click inside, there's a grid-based system that will appear for you. So if you want to create your card, you can select the grid wherever you want. So supposedly if I want it 5 by 5, so I'll select this area. Now over here, I can add the elements. So you will click on add elements. So then we have multiple options. So whichever components you want, you can plug in. So if I want it to be a card component, I'll add it. Over here, if I want to give a heading, say I'll give a H3 heading, I can simply plug in. I can rename this Sim Cloud. Then another element I want is the image element. I can add it below it. So I'll select at the end. So over here on my right hand side, I can see I can add the source control for it. So I can change this. And I can add any image. So I have added this image. Once you have added, now I want another element below it. I want a button to be there. So I'll select a button option. I can click on this. I'll add at the end of my card. I can change the text of it. So I can give no more. And if I want to attach a link to it, so there are two ways to go about it. Either we can map it with our existing template. So that will be a dynamic component. But if you want to give static data where all of these things will be only the data we are giving, we can give the static data also. So now if I want it to be open in the new tab, I'll give, I'll give right now Google link only. I can give that. So that is how you can create your component. You can add the stylings also. So right now on my right hand side, there are multiple stylings options also. So if I want to style this button, that can be easily done. So I can click on this button component. I have text settings. So over here, I can align the text how I want my text to be aligned inside that button. Then we can specify the spacing also. So that is how you can build the component. And once your component is ready, we have different modes where we can view this component. So we can view it how it will look in the medium view, small, extra small. So all of these things are available. And once your component is ready, you can stage it. So if you'll click on the staging option, it will stage my component. And once I'll publish it will publish my component and it will be available for me to drag and drop on my page and to be there on the website. Then another thing we have in XM Cloud is to have a global styling option. So right now we have multiple fonts, colors, graphics, breakpoint, typographies that are available. So if you want to add our custom typographies, so all of these things can be done. So if you want another type of theme, that can also be added. So right now out of the box, we have only light and dark theme. But if you want any custom theme, all of these things can be created. Inside our data sources, we have all the data sources available. So this is the list of data sources. Then in our publishing, we have three workflows. We have draft, staged, and published. So it will show the items, which all items are available in our draft state, staging stage, or in our published state. And then at last, we have settings. So all the site that we have, all its configuration, settings, context IDs, all of it will be available in our settings option. So that's it from the overview point of view. There are few blog posts that I have written exactly following what we have shown today. So it is all documented. We'll paste these links on our chat group also so that you can go through it and follow the steps. So the first one is for the Vercel integration. Second is how we can create custom component in XM Cloud. And third one is to understand Experience Edge, how it works. So do we have any questions?
Thank you so much, Nikita and Shreyansh, for such an informative presentation. I'm sure our audience has learned a lot about basic architecture of Sitecore XM Cloud, component creations and deployments. I know you have already asked for questions, so here comes our Q&A segment. Please feel free to add any questions you have in either Q&A section or chat box. Let's make most of this opportunity to tap into knowledge and experience our speakers.
Nikita, I have one. I just wanted to know how this component builder, like the components created using
Mhm.
this component builder, are different from the traditional components that we build.
So firstly, in XM Cloud, we have the introduction of Component Builder as a tool. So we do not have this Component Builder tool in our traditional CMSs. So we only have Experience Editor as a Canva-based tool where we can drag and drop. And over here, since it's a grid-based system, so you can easily, there are so many out-of-the-box fields, components, and you can even save your component as in your libraries. We have multiple templates that are available out of the box that you can easily plug in. So all of these things are not available in our traditional CMSs. So if you want to create your own component by not coding, or simply you have a structure you want to even align or add a background to it, all of these things can be easily managed by Component Builder itself.
Okay. And how the associated files, like when we create a traditional component, the way we used to create, it used to have an associated file with it. And
Mhm.
like you've shown that there are styling related settings that we can do here as well. So, are there any related files created automatically, and how do you recommend them to maintain as a part of source control?
So if you're
Mm.
doing the styling, it will all be available in your site core itself once you published. So we have the option once you stage or when you publish the component, all your styling will be intact and present in your site core itself. But even if you want to add any custom CSS to it, so once you have created your component, you can create your CSS file and you can give the reference of that, and that can also be done. So whatever styling that we are adding in our component, that will be all intact. Once you have published the content, it will go to your Edge server and it will be all there.
So Vikrant, I have just added one screenshot. So whatever style that gets published, right? You can fetch all those styles using props.params.style. So they'll all come as rendering parameters and you'll be able to fetch it in your component. So I've added one sample code.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, any more questions? I guess we have reached the end of this session. On behalf of SUG Nagpur, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Nikita and Shreyansh for sharing their expertise with us today. Your insights have been valuable, and we are truly grateful for your time and effort. A big thank you to all of you for joining us and making a section successful. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Do not forget to stay connected with us for any further updates of events and opportunities to learn and grow. Till then, take care and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.